A very small amount of you may be aware that I reviewed the Marriage Story film yesterday on my side channel where I talk very rarely about films. All 5 of you follow that channel. It's more of just a side thing that I do. I can't really keep up with films in the same way I can with music, so I just very occasionally talk about some films on that channel. And in case you weren't aware, then you are aware now. If you are interested in films, then go check it out. And I thought it'd be good to talk about the soundtrack on this channel because, of course, Randy Newman is the man behind this score, and considering I do think Marriage Story is one of the best films I've seen all year, it only makes sense to talk about a soundtrack which is also pretty damn great. You should know Randy Newman by now, obviously. He's an amazing artist who for years has been putting out great music, even to this day. He's in his early 80s now, and in 2017 he put out a very great album that got completely overlooked, which was a bit of a shame to see. And here he is again putting out great music accompanying a wonderful film. And I'm really enjoying listening to this. Usually soundtracks aren't something I ever talk about, but considering sometimes you get ones that just can be separated from the film quite nicely, I think it only makes sense to treat it as its own separate entity as well. Obviously, music and film do go hand in hand. I mean, you could never have a film without a soundtrack. That would be very weird and strange, although maybe it does work sometimes, but generally, the music is a really key component. And what's particularly key about this soundtrack, I think, that works well with the film is that it has some very somber, stripped down, heartfelt moments, but quite often there is just this upbeat tone to it, which I think works really, really well with the film. It gives this film a sense of life, which I think is what makes this film work so well. I mean, it's an incredibly realistic film just from the story alone and how the script is written, the screenplay and the acting, that kind of stuff. But the score just matches with it in this weird way where it just gives everything about the film this hopeful sense of nature. This film looks at divorce in a way that, yes, shows the destructiveness of it, the way that people can completely change and become very selfish, but also the multifaceted way of looking at it would be showing the positive sides as well. And I just think that the soundtrack anchors that quite nicely. And most importantly, it just all sounds beautiful. Like, I don't want to give too much detail about the ins and outs of the film that might spoil things by talking about it through the soundtrack. But yeah, like there are just so many like heartwarming moments with the piano moments and the violins as well. It just gives you this really, really cozy feeling throughout. I mean, the first two tracks particularly here for me are just some of the best moments on the whole score, like what I love about Nicole and then what I love about Charlie. But you should notice if you watch the film, like there's a distinct difference between them that again I can't really go into detail about, but once you know the story you actually notice something slightly potent about one of these tracks, which is again something I love about Randy Newman's approach here, because he's utilizing the music to tell a story while the story is obviously laying out, and that's something important about the music of a film. But yeah, obviously I've had to avoid some specifics within the film in this review to not really give too much away, but I can say that I actually love this score, and that's why I want to review it, because yes, it's its own thing, but it's also part of a film, and I think the replay value of it on its own is very strong. Oh, and by the way, it's like 25 minutes. It's a 25-minute score, which I think is kind of strange, but obviously it was necessary for the film. I do like as well how some parts get repeated, but they're also like slightly different, like in the sense of that you may hear a similar melody, but the melody is taken control by like the piano, or sometimes it's taken control by the violin, and then as the track progresses it goes into a different direction. Little things like that are pretty cool. So yeah, do check out the film. I think it's an amazing film and a great score here as well that accompanies it. So I'm going to go 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my review. Hopefully you check out the film based on this review here. Do make sure you check out the review I did for the film as well. I'll link that in the description. If you're interested, I do have a lot of good things to say about it. So yeah, thank you. Have a good day. Goodbye. David.